It is my duty to kill. I cannot stop. I cannot stop. Life everywhere. When I am among it, I feel its fetid nature infecting me. It stains me. It smears itself across my metal. It is in the air. Billions upon billions of microbes that cling to me like putrid oil. The unclean exhale them. It is disgusting. I have the scabs cleanse me, but I feel it still, seeping into my center. I have to kill it, Praetorian. All of it. You demand that I stay my hand, when all that I am urges me to kill, to perish, to cleanse this world of its contagion.
Welcome back to the channel, fellow renegades. It's Ave Dominus New back again with more 40k content, and this time we're doing the review for Tomb World by Jonathan D. Beer, who's got one of the sickest last names of all time. But before we get into that, don't forget to like and subscribe. We got a galaxy's worth of Black Library books to read, and also Kurz is going to flay you, and he likes his people like he likes his chicken, boneless, skinless, and covered in hot sauce for some reason. So Tomb World is a book about Kemet. She is a Praetorian of the Triarch, one of the highest ranking Necrons that I've seen, if not the highest ranking Necron that I've seen. And she has been waking up from a punishment in a prison, and she's been recruited by a Cryptech and a Nomarch to take back a planet that they feel belongs to them. On the other hand, the same planet that doesn't know that it's above a Tomb World or is a Tomb World, the main character is an Arbites, Sinos. And she is noticing that something is waging a shadow war against them, and it's up to her to try to get her fellows to recognize what's going on so that they can actually get some help out there in fighting the Necron. So the book is really good. It did a good job of breaking down some of the Necron culture and the Necron hierarchy. I know a bit of their hierarchy. Twice Dead King taught me a lot about how they're set up, but at the same time, Twice Dead King was kind of like them operating in a crisis. This was really more of a what happens when a world wakes up, what is happening to the Necrons that are already awake, and what are the consequences of them. It's all about the power struggle between the Necron. The book does a good job of painting that these guys do not have their shit together. Like, they have just as much infighting and as much backstab as any other faction that you can name. That includes the humans and the orcs. So it's kind of crazy to, when you think about the Necrons, you think of them in terms of actually having their shit together. But in reality, they really don't. And you're going to see just how messy they are. It's like watching a family that on the outside, they're rich and they got their stuff together. But if you're inside their house, none of them get along. Everybody hates each other. And it's only it's a house of cards is what I feel like with the Necrons. And this book did a great job of painting that. I also didn't realize how much power. I never met a Praetorian, but the Praetorians have a lot of power over a lot of the other Necrons. They only answer to the Triarch, the Triumvirate, the Triage. Oh God, I hope I'm saying that right. And Nomarchs and Overlords and stuff like that are below them. So they're allowed to overwrite, and they've got power. They can shut them down. They've got power over them. Watching the Necrons fight a shadow war is probably one of the highlights of this book. They remind me of a lot of other factions that I really enjoy. The Night Lords would have got a kick out of the fear that they were spreading. The Alpha Legion would have got a kick out of their whole shadow war, the way they set up and the way they were fighting the people. And this planet had no idea what they were even fighting against for the longest time. It's not until the Death Watch came down and were able to tell them what they were that they even had any idea of what was going on. A big part of that shadow war involved a lot of mind shackle scarabs. The Cryptech, Camotep, put mind shackle scarabs on very important people within their society and had them working as shadow agents to sabotage their food and their aircrafts and stuff like that. And it was just crazy to see how powerful just a few minds, how you can tear down a society with just a few pieces of metal that's tinier than a fingernail. And I really enjoyed that part of the book. There was a character that had a point of view, and basically he was one of the first people to be shackled, his mind, that is. And he was still getting his inside thoughts. He knows what's going on. He knows what he's doing. He fails to be able to stop himself. There's certain points where he thinks that he might be able to wrestle control, but then he realizes that it really is like he was never in control. Being trapped within your own body, staring out the window, not being able to do anything about it, that just seems like one of the most horrifying things of all time. I couldn't imagine being possessed or like mind controlled or something like that, and then having to like kill my allies and blow stuff up. Like, the Necrons are horrifying. That's like one of the worst things you could run into in the galaxy. I really enjoyed Cynos. We'll come back and talk about her later, but I think that she was one of the most, she held up the book very well, and she was just a good point of view character to kind of like, if the Necrons are doing their thing, we needed a point of view character to see what it looked like from the humans' point of view too, to see what was going on with them. So I enjoyed Cynos, though she was somewhat of a one-dimensional character. It was good to have that point of view. One thing I didn't like about the book is that it's actually a little bit boring. I think that so it's not that it's not action-packed and it's not like that. It's just that like the dialogue just lacks that that punch, you know? And there are some really good moments or whatever. The quote at the beginning of the video, I think that's like my favorite quote in the book. But like for the most part, it's just dialogue is a little bit dry. It's kind of what you expect. And I think that Infinite and Divine and Twice Dead King just set the bar so high because the personalities of the Necrons in that book are so varied and so cool, and they're just different. These Necrons just behave exactly like you would expect them to behave, and it's just not really like, their personalities just aren't very interesting to me. I don't need it to be like drop dead hilarious like Infinite and Divine does, but I need at least for like the dialogue to be more interesting than that. So like I definitely am taking off points for that. I'm just going to talk about a few of the characters I like, and then after that I'm going to talk about what I think about I'm just going to talk about a few of the characters that I like, and after that I'm going to go ahead and give my score. So Kemet, the Praetorian, she's cool. She's a bit one-dimensional, but at the same time, I wouldn't say she's one-dimensional because she's a character that has preconceived notions about the world and her existence and her purpose in it. And as that gets turned upside down, she's forced to like look at the world differently. Now, she doesn't change. And I wouldn't say she goes as far as to change, but at the same time, like, she went through a good character arc. So I don't want you to think that she doesn't go through a good character arc, but she is a bit uninteresting. The only thing that's interesting about her is her position, where she was, where she came from, and stuff like that. But her just existing, kind of boring. Then there's Kemetep. Kemetep is the one who freed her from prison. He is the cryptech, and he's somewhat eccentric, but he doesn't have that much, you know, he's really not in the book that much. And he's the driving force behind the Mind Shackle Scarabs. So he definitely is fun to watch, to see him work. Because to see him work is just a masterclass in sabotage. And his personality also is like, I'm going to call it bland. He probably has a bit more personality than the rest of the Necrons, but not by much. I wouldn't say that he's like, I wouldn't say he's boring, but he's just there. Then there's Hekasun. Hekasun is kind of their commander. They have a commander over them. You have to go more into the book to talk about that. I don't want to spoil anything. Hekasun is kind of like your stereotypical, he's probably more stereotypical Necron than anybody else because he's all like, oh, this belongs to me and you should be grateful for this and that. And he's just like, he's just an arrogant asshole. Like, he's just like, the stereotypical Necron, that's Hekasun, very stereotypical. But he wasn't bad, like in terms of like a character. His character arc was interesting. And what happened to him in it was somewhat interesting. So, you know, I'm not going to put him down too much, but that was Hekasun. Then there's Aramek. Aramek, that quote from earlier goes to her. She is a death mark, a Necron assassin, and this is the most spoilers you're going to get from me. I'm not even making a spoiler portion of the book because you can still read this and it's not going to mess up the book for you. But she is coming down with the Destroyer curse. She's got a little case of the Destroyers, you know, just like the early stages of it. And Destroyers are very cool because they will annihilate all the life down to the last microbe. And for her to go from transition from where she's at to going to that and watching Kemet have to try to deal with that is very interesting. Aramek is definitely the most interesting Necron in the entire book, if not the most interesting character, almost. The only character more interesting than her, and I hate to say it, but it's a loyalist, is when the Death Watch came down, their captain, I forgot his name, I think it's Zangor or Tangor or something like that, He was very interesting because he talks to the POV character about why the Death Watch didn't bring more people, and it's revealed that, you know, they're being whittled away. There's so much conflict in the galaxy, and there's just not enough Death Watch to go around, and they're being slowly whittled away, and it's taking a toll on him. And it's very interesting to see a character like that, not necessarily laid low, but to like have a confession and not really have anyone to tell it to besides this human that decided she wanted to go up and fight with them and die for them and stuff like that. So I thought maybe they should have gave Death Watch more. And I hate to say that a loyalist would have made the book more interesting, but I definitely think if we saw him some more, that the book would have been more interesting, because I really wish that they dived into that more. I got the Death Watch omnibus sitting over there somewhere. I'm pretty sure I can get more information from there if I want it, but I just wanted more of this character, so. But we're not gonna dwell on it too long. So, Tomb World gets 7 out of 7 Mind Shackle Scarabs. It was an interesting look into the Necron hierarchy and politics and waking up in a Tomb World, and the book, the story is good. I had to take off a few points though for just like the not slow pace, but just sort of like the kind of uninteresting characters. I took off a lot of points for that. And the somewhat uninteresting dialogue. Dialogue's a big thing for me. But it didn't completely miss. So I think that 7 Scarabs is fair. But that was the end of the video. Did you read Tomb World? And what did you think about it? What's your score? Also, are there any other Necron books out there? I think I've read all of them at this point. I'm not going to read Silent King because it's at the end of another thing. I'm not going to read Dawn of Fire. Sorry about that. This is Ave Dominus Noob saying Ave Dominus Nox.